Time for the annual LouTube college football father-son relationship video. Actually, I say annual. I haven't done this every year. I think I've done this maybe 2 or 3 times. But what are some of the biggest or funniest, I guess, maybe would be a better way to put it, sort of father-son relationships when it comes to college football? Now, I'm not talking about like a kid on a team that plays for his dad. I mean, like the memes people share around every Father's Day of like, this team is that team's daddy, like that kind of thing. The obvious one, I've got it pictured right here. The Michigan and Ohio State one is particularly hilarious right now. Of course, Michigan is Ohio State's father right now. I mean, when was the last time Ohio State even beat Michigan? Was it like 2019? I think it was 2019. So they didn't play in 2020. So that's 21, 22, 23, 24. So 4 years in a row now. I guess that Michigan has beat Ohio State. Now, in one of those years, 2023, was it 2023? Yeah. I think Michigan was clearly a better team. They were the national champion team that year. Again, the Connor Stallions and the cheating thing and all that, yeah, that's a separate discussion. But, like, I think the other 3 years, like, Ohio State was probably better than Michigan, or definitely better than Michigan last year, but still lost to them. I think they were better than Michigan in 22. 21 was close. They were both pretty good in 21. But anyway, the point is, like, it doesn't seem to matter, right? Ohio State can be clearly better than Michigan. They could be clearly worse than Michigan. They could be about the same as Michigan. Michigan still wins. Michigan clearly Ohio State's daddy right now. And it's carried on over 2 different coaches at Michigan too, right? Harbaugh was there. When he first got there, it was sort of the other way around. He couldn't beat Ohio State. Then COVID happened, and then it sort of flipped the script, beat him in 21, 22, and 23, and then won the national title. He's off to the NFL. Sharon Moore gets sort of promoted to head coach, and right on cue, he does what he's supposed to do. Shows up in Columbus and beats the hell out of Ohio State. So probably the funniest father-son relationship in all of college football right now. Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan clearly the father of Ohio State. Now Ohio State won the national title last year, so how much they care about that may be up for debate. Although you can probably check the comments right now. And you'll find Ohio State fans down there making excuses for those losses or whatever, so I don't know, maybe they do care. But what are some other ones? Kind of a similar one, Georgia and Alabama. Alabama is Georgia's daddy right now, period. And it's very similar to the Michigan-Ohio State reasons, right? Although they don't play every year, Georgia and Alabama, they've played multiple times over the last 5 to 6 years, right? And I think everybody's familiar with Kirby's record against Alabama. Is it what 1-5 now, 1-6, whatever it is? The only win Kirby has against Bama was in the national title game in 2021. He also has a loss to Bama in the national title game in 2017. A couple of SEC championship game losses, I believe. Is it 2 regular season losses? 2020. And last year. Anyway, so this is another obvious one here. And again, in a lot of those years, I think you can make the case that Georgia was the better team. It just hasn't mattered. I think Georgia was a better team than Alabama last year. And they got ran out of the building in the first half of that game at Tuscaloosa. There was a couple of years, 2018 maybe. I think Georgia was pretty good. Anyway, the point is, it doesn't seem to matter. 2017, 2018, 2020, all of those games, Georgia had leads at halftime and lost the game. Like, it just doesn't matter for whatever reason, whether it's talent, whether it's some kind of mental block with Kirby, whatever it is. Alabama is clearly Georgia's daddy right now, and that's bad news because they play again this coming season. The game is in Athens this time, but you got to ask yourself, just like with the Michigan-Ohio State game, does it really matter where the game is? I mean, when you look at the Michigan-Ohio State game, how do you pick Ohio State to win that game right now, right? You got to pick Michigan until Ohio State sort of figures it out and stops losing. Same thing with Georgia-Bama. Bama is Georgia's daddy right now. I don't care how good or bad you think Alabama's going to be in 2025 or how good or bad you think Georgia's going to be in 2025. How the hell do you pick Georgia to win that game against Bama? You can't. Bama is Georgia's daddy. What other series are out there right now, or what other games are going on out there right now where you look at and you go, dang, this team is that team's daddy or whatever it is? Here's one that I think is getting close. Now, again, this is not an all-time thing. That would be easy to do. You just Google a series record and you say, oh, well, this team has a winning record over this team, so this team is that team's daddy. That's true in terms of a series record. Someone owns someone else. That is true. But what I'm looking for in this video here is more like what's going on now, so sort of weird anomalies now. What about Clemson and South Carolina? I don't know. I'm not prepared to demand that Clemson wish South Carolina a happy Father's Day yet. But what if South Carolina beats them again this coming season? South Carolina has beaten Clemson 2 of the last 3 years. Now, both of those games were in Clemson. This year, they play in Columbia, South Carolina, a usual date at the end of the regular season rivalry weekend there, Thanksgiving weekend. But what if South Carolina pulls it off again? That would be back-to-back wins over Clemson. That would be wins in 3 out of the last 4 years. Clemson is dangerously close to having to buy a Father's Day card for Shane Beamer. That would be embarrassing. That would be embarrassing. Now, and look, I know Clemson won the ACC and they went to the playoffs again last year. And Clemson and South Carolina has never done those things. Agreed. Again, if we're talking about an all-time situation here, Clemson is South Carolina's daddy. There's no doubt about it, whether you talk about total wins, head-to-head wins, national championships, conference any way you want to slice it. I'm not trying to sit here and say that South Carolina is a better all-time program than Clemson. They're not. It's not what I'm saying at all. Again, for the purpose of this Father's Day video, I'm more or less looking at, what's going on sort of now, recent, last 3 or 4 years type of thing with a lot of these teams. So Georgia has to get Bama a Father's Day card. Ohio State needs to get Michigan a Father's Day card. I think Clemson is dangerously close to having to get South Carolina a Father's Day card. I'm going to hold off one more year and see what happens. I think if South Carolina can pull it off at home, it might be time to admit, there you daddy. What else do we got as far as Father's Day stuff in the world of college football? Y'all let me know in the comments down below. What are some other ones that I'm missing here? I'm trying to go around like conference to conference, kind of like what's going on in some different conferences there, maybe with some of the rivalry games or whatever else. It's hard to really, in terms of the Florida situation, Florida, Miami, Florida State. Pretty obvious right now, Miami's the best team down there, but I don't know that really any of those teams is on a run right now that would necessarily make them the father of the other two teams. Florida and Florida State were both really bad last year. Florida's been really bad for 3 or 4 years. Florida State's, they've had one really good year in the last 4 or 5 years. The other 3 or 4 have been not so good. Miami's been the most consistent of the 3 sort of big 3 Florida teams. Again, talking about Miami, Florida State, and Florida. Miami's been like the most consistently good. They beat both Florida and Florida State last year. Miami did. Does Miami want to claim Florida and Florida State as their sons? That might be a better question. Do they even want to claim them as their sons? And I don't really know if they can. In the case of Miami and Florida, they don't play every year. Miami and Florida State do, and Miami did beat them last year, but Florida State beat them the year before that. So I don't know. I feel like you need at least a 2 out of 3 or a 3 out of 4 type situation to start claiming people as dependents on your taxes. What do y'all think about the state of Florida situation in terms of Miami, Florida, and Florida State? Again, I definitely think that Miami is sort of in the best position right now of the 3 teams. But I don't know if I would consider right now Miami to be the father of Florida and Florida State. Y'all can let me know on that one. Texas and Oklahoma has been an interesting one. For most of the 20 teams, the second half of the 20 teams, especially, Oklahoma was dominating that rival under Lincoln Riley. They were winning the Big 12 every year and going to the playoffs, while Texas was still trying to figure it out head coaching wise. They went through that about a 10-year period, went 2 or 3 different head coaches. It didn't work out, and they brought Sarkisian in around the same time that they were wrapping things up in the Big 12 and beginning the transition to the SEC. And I would say in that time period, over the last couple of years, Texas has clearly been the better program. But I don't even know if right now when I look at Texas and Oklahoma, I go, oh yeah, Texas is Oklahoma's father right now. Again, I'm not talking about the all-time series and who's won how many games in the last 100 years. That's a separate thing that I'm talking about. I'm talking about more or less what's going on right now. Texas clearly a better team, better program. They got a better head coach, better staff. they're much more well positioned right now within the SEC than Oklahoma is. But didn't Oklahoma beat Texas a couple of years ago? Last year, was it last year in the Big 12? I know Texas went on to win the Big 12, but didn't they lose to Oklahoma? Anyway, that's kind of the point. If someone's not obviously someone else's father, then I guess they're not someone else's father. Looking around to the Big 12. The Big 12 is hard too because they've got so many new teams over the last couple of years, and with the departure of Texas and Oklahoma, now you don't have the Oklahoma State game anymore, which was fun to kind of talk about and go back and forth. What's the biggest rivalry in the Big 12? Is it BYU and Utah? I mean, it might be. I don't know. I like the BYU Utah game, the Holy War, I guess they call that game, sort of the Muslims or Muslims, the Mormons versus the Christians or whatever in that game. I get a kick out of that kind of thing. I don't know how much that game registers on the national scale, BYU and Utah. But I know within the state of Utah and sort of regionally there, it's a huge, huge matchup. Who's the father in that game? When it comes to BYU and Utah, who's the father? BYU's better right now. Utah's had some really good years under Whittingham. They've made some New Year's Six bowls and things like that. BYU's got some natties though. So you're talking overall all time. I guess the pendulum swings towards BYU. Where do y'all think it's at now? Would you rather be a Utah fan or a BYU fan? Like who's better now? BYU was better last year. Utah spinning their wheels a couple of years in a row. Cam Rising injured all the time. Who's the daddy in the Holy War? Is it BYU or Utah? Anyway, in all seriousness, happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. Hope you have a great weekend. Take some time, spend it with your kids, your family, that kind of thing, your own father. I appreciate you watching. Let me know down below some of your favorite father-son relationships in terms of teams in the world of college football, and I'll talk to you again soon. Have a good morning.